Welcome, everyone. I'm Laura DeFranco, the CEO of Brave Healer Productions, where we're helping the world experience what's possible. And here today to help me with that mission are some of the amazing expert co-authors of a new book that we have coming out. This one is called High Vibrational Wellness, Intuitive Healing Therapies to Nourish Your Body Temple. Oh my goodness, you guys, this juicy book. So a quick and huge thank you to Savante Wolkin, who is the lead author of this book. Savante, you had a big mission for this, to bring these experts together to really talk about what it means to live in a higher vibration. I'm so in love with this topic and so honored to be here on this journey with you. We would not be here without you. So thank you for that big vision and mission that you had. We're going to talk to three of the authors of this book today. Chef Lisa Brown has over 20 years of experience helping individuals transform their lives through healthier lifestyle habits, mindfulness techniques, physical fitness, and high vibrational eating. I have Reverend Susan Wallace Donegan with us. She has years of experience in the healing field, both as an RN and an energy worker in several modalities. And Joseph Fossey is here. He's an attorney who works with individuals seeking to enhance their spirituality and find joy in their lives. And Joseph, we're going to start this party with you today. Tell us about your amazing chapter.
I was asked to write my thoughts about my journey by Savante, and I felt it was a chance to really give back. I just have a real heart for people that are that if you tell them you are enough, they don't know what that means. And I want people to get to a point where whatever hole they may have in their heart, whatever doubts they may have about themselves, that they will be able to find a way to fill that hole and to learn more about themselves so that they will believe they are worthy. I think that's the thing that's missing. I just really feel that passionately when I meet people, and I can tell that they're really in pain. They may not show it, but I can sense it. I always can sense it. And I just really wanted to help people who were where I was. And not that I'm there, so to speak, but I just wanted to help people out. And so I wrote it with that passion in mind, that they would be able to reach healing and wholeness in their lives.
I love what you said a minute ago. When you're told you're enough, sometimes you don't know what that means. Can you go there just for a minute? What do you want
Sure.
people to know about that?
Well, I had a friend that always used to say to me, you are enough, you are enough. And I used to think that was a bunch of psychobabble. I had no idea what that meant. I really did not know what it meant, that you are enough, because I didn't believe I was enough. I didn't believe that I was worthy. I didn't believe I had any redeeming qualities. I used to always believe that if you really knew who I was, you wouldn't like me very much. But the reason is I didn't know who I was. And so my desire is to help someone understand that they are enough, that what they have, with some introspection and taking some time and some stillness, really important, that they can start to see their own beauty within their soul, within who they are, and what their role is here in this life right now.
When you started to do that for yourself, do you remember a moment where things shifted? Like, what happened when you began to do that for yourself?
Actually, I talk about that in the chapter. There was a time when there was a fellow that was acting as sort of like a counselor, therapist, mentor to me. And I said something negative about myself. And he goes, why do you always do that? Why do you always do that? In fact, my mother used to tell me that. We're from Malta, a little island, that she used to say to me in Maltese, the translation is, you always drop rocks on your own feet. And I never understood what she meant. I do now. And so when he told me that, he said, you really don't need enemies or people to put you down. You do a great job on your own. And that's the thing that I really want to help people see, because I see it all the time.
Don't drop rocks on your feet. I love that. Thanks, Mom. Joseph, thank you so much for saying yes to this project and for being here today.
Sure.
Lisa, tell us about your amazing chapter.
Sure. First and foremost, thank you for having me. And I'm so excited to be a part of this project. And my chapter, like everybody else's, tells a unique story about what I went through and how I came to be who I am today. And the overall objective is to show people that no matter what age or stage of life you're in, that you can take your power back when it
Mhm.
comes to health. And when I speak of health, I mean health holistically, that there's, I was at the point in my life where I wanted to give up and went through lots of trauma and experienced dysfunction. And for me, the gateway to evolving my consciousness and improving my health was through changing my diet. So that was just the beginning. And I guess my primary message is that no matter where you are, what you're experiencing, there's always something you can do, whether it be related to lifestyle changes or dietary preference, that can set you on a new trajectory and begin to enhance your life when it comes to mind, body, and spirit wellness.
I am intrigued that this was the primary gateway for you. And I feel like from so many around me, it's like it's the hardest thing. And I don't know really why that is. Why do you think the diet, food is medicine, right? Like food is your nourishment on a basic level. Tell me more about why that's so difficult. Or maybe it's easy and we're telling ourselves a lie about that.
Right. There's a lot of information out there, especially with the World Wide Web. There's a lot of, expert opinions. But at the end of the day, I think it's difficult because there is an intuitive sense that we need to follow. And through the process of experimenting and exploring, in addition to researching and see what works well for you, there's just so much information pulling us in every which way in every direction. It could be a cultural thing as well. If you grow up a certain way, like I grew up on the standard American diet and that's all I knew. So often it's when we experience a health crisis or some kind of negative experience that becomes our aha moment. Like if you read my chapter, you'll understand what I'm talking about. That can lead us to make different choices. So a lot of the time it's convenience or this is how we were brought up. And there's just so much information out there. So I think that's part of the reason why there's confusion or people kind of move away from that intuitive sense and kind of ignore what their body needs.
I think we're also being told so many different things in terms of the reason we're feeling the way we are, be it depression or a disease or illness or anything else for that matter. And why isn't the first thing that our don't get me started on the medical system, but we don't have enough time. But why isn't the first thing the food, right? And it never is. Like, what do you want to say about that?
Well, the powers that be and pharmaceuticals and just a lack of education. Obviously, you're a medical professional. And so I think there's a systematic problem in that, we need to change a lot within society to, be able to teach people these principles that we, again, can take our power back and even make these minor changes when it comes to food to food to mouth, right? What are we putting onto our plates and how can that heal us? So I think it's ignorance. Ignorance is bliss. And, there's people like us putting the good word out there and just showing people that there's a different way.
Yes. Oh my goodness. Lisa, thank you so much for
Thank-
saying yes to this and for being here today. You are all going to help people take their I'm going to just what Lisa just said, take our power back, take our power and health back.
Mhm.
And our health is probably primarily our power, right? Our vitality. Susan, tell us about your amazing chapter.
Thank you, Laura. I think from my standpoint, also a life full of trauma and many, many things just coming my way that I could never have expected in a million years, both, you know, good stuff and stuff that was very traumatizing. And what I started to believe in when I did become trained in energy work was that every single step along the way, um, I stopped holding judgment on it because everything was so orchestrated in order to bring me to the next point. And never so clearly as when I had twin granddaughters born that were micro preemies, and one had no chance of survival. And time after time after time, as I saw this baby reach limits that were impossible to reach, it was all of the pieces had been put into place for me to affect that. And it did. And it changed actually a whole lot of things that the medical field in this country had put a judgment on and now was looking at it differently, simply watching what we were doing together, this little baby and I.
Oh my
And
gosh. Yeah, go ahead.
the story just needed to be told.
Yes, it did. I was about to say, oh my gosh, you guys wait until you read this story. And that's because it's a profound example of, I think, advocacy. I mean, so, you know, you were pretty, what's the word? Bold and brave and amazing. And they listened.
Yes.
Yeah. So that felt like a small miracle to me. And it is such a beautiful story. I want to back up to what you said about judgment. You paused that because you realized everything had taken you to this point. It took a while for you to get there, like a lot of people. Yeah. What else do you want to say about to someone who is still in judgment right now about their own life?
I believe in retrospect, I can't look back at the places that I've been and where it's brought me to without seeing very, very clearly that there was absolutely nothing that happened by chance. And if I saw them that way, it even orchestrated more of a power behind it and more of an acceptance in myself to follow it, to the point where it's not a question anymore. And even if things are not looking very well, I almost get a thrill that says, all right, what's coming? And I've had proof of that. Anytime anything happens in my life, I ask for 3 proofs just to make sure it's not my imagination. And I get them every time.
I love that you said that you ask for 3 proofs, and we can demand this of the universe. Like, listen, give me some proof. I need it now.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I love this. It has taken me some trust and practice to get to the point where you are, where even the bad stuff, you're trying not to judge because you really don't know why that puzzle piece is being put in place for you and what it might mean later. And I think living like that is juicy. Anything else you want to say about that?
I think juicy is the word. No, it makes going through a day by day existence exciting, because I'm not judging it for what I'm thinking is going to happen. I'm sitting there presently experiencing everything and watching those waves just fall out and emanate.
Yeah,
It's
I love it.
delicious. Yeah.
It is delicious and juicy. Susan, thank you so much for saying yes to this and for being here
Thank you.
today. Let's talk about a holistic approach, you guys. Lisa, I'm going to start with you. You know, we take a holistic approach in all of the titles that we publish around here. There's a reason for that. But when it comes to the journey that we're on, your personal journey included, why holistic? What has that meant for you?
Because as I mentioned, even though the gateway for me was food and learning how to consume food as a process of love and healing, that was only the inception of my journey. And after a couple of years of experimenting and finding what was right for me at the time to begin to heal some of the physical ailments, although I was feeling much better, there was still pieces of me that were lost and needed to be found. And I did that through then focusing on mindset, on my emotional body, on physical exercise, you know, bringing all the pieces of the puzzle together to find that wholeness and be able to optimize once again mind, body, and spirit wellness. So despite, you know, making some changes to my diet and healing once again physical ailments, there was much that was missing, and I needed to explore different aspects of healing in order to come back to myself and be able to move forward on my journey and begin to evolve not only my life but my consciousness, if that makes sense.
It does, definitely. Would you agree that when you're addressing one piece, it is going to affect all the others? Is there anything else you want people to know about that?
Right. If there's one thing out of balance, often there's other aspects out of balance as well, but sometimes it's unconscious and we are not aware. Hence, I think that, with the food aspect and raising our vibration and beginning to do the work and release and let go of the things that no longer serve, to create space for this new information, for these new lifestyle habits, for the new way of perceiving and moving through life, that it helps to bring and restore balance, back into our lives. Whereas if we're just moving through life mindlessly and unconsciously, and we're stuffing our face with processed foods, and we're not moving our physical body and moving energy, and we're not dealing with past traumas, whether it be through some kind of, therapeutic process, all these things become apparent as you raise your vibration and you allow this new energy to flow into your realm of existence. It's almost like this calling, begins as a gentle tap and then knocks you across the face. So it's almost impossible to ignore that as you begin to evolve one part of your life, whether it be through the food you're eating and how you're eating, and it, becomes nourishing, it's almost, impossible to ignore those other aspects of self that are in need of healing.
Yeah, perfectly said. I love how you said it. You have
Yeah.
to make some room for those new habits. There's some work there, you guys. Thank you, Lisa. Susan, what do you want to add about this? Why holistic for you?
In my experience, I had the experiences of coming into the healing field, first as a nurse, but then as an energy worker because of my trauma and being introduced to that. And the more I practiced and the more modalities that came my way, wasn't so much of, the differences in them, as my vibrational rate also raised to higher and higher levels. And every time I maintained that, there was so much more that was open to me. An example would have been, I was a public health nurse in my very rural New York State county, where nurses were run off by guns if they showed up to someone who didn't want to be involved with anything. And my boss would say, "Sue, we got another one. Please go out there." And I certainly was met with a gun, and all I had to do was say, "Hi, I hear you have a beautiful baby here, and I would love to see it." And the gun would come down, I would be welcomed in. But the only thing that allowed that to happen was I didn't judge them because of my own trauma. And the more I stayed there, and the more my vibrational rate had hit heights that I was seeing things and experiencing things that I would take books. So, and nothing else. I mean, being raised in a Catholic school and a very strong, Christian family didn't really hit that for me. It really took stepping outside of that arena and going forward in just trust and vibration, and it worked.
Thank you, Susan. I'm going to come back around to all of you to talk a little bit more about the high vibe examples. First, Joseph, tell me why holistic for you.
Well, when I was in graduate school, I started reading Carl Jung. And at one time, I wanted to become a Jungian therapist. And Carl Jung talks a lot about healing and wholeness. He talks a lot about balance. And at a very early age, my early 20s, I had learned about the divine feminine and the divine masculine. and how if one is suppressed, which I think society back then used to do for men, that was the days of the macho man type thing. You could never show emotion, but yet I could feel it within me. That made me begin to start to develop, understand, especially with Jung's talk about the mandalas, the circular symbols throughout all civilizations, that until you became whole, you could not be healed. So healing and wholeness. That's why it became so important to me. In super early age, I was tuned into that. And then I kind of went away from it. And I went into what I call the ways of the world. And I was pursuing a different degree. I went away from wanting to be a therapist and studying Jung, and went into law, which isn't a bad thing, but I really lost my focus on what was important. I lost spirituality. I was not whole. And I became really totally about the physical. More important, working out to me was more important than anything else, more important than working out my spirituality, more important than having a spiritual transformation. And then, as I mentioned in my chapter, a number of years ago, I had something occur, and sometimes that's what it takes. That kind of brought me into reality and took me back to the journey that I had been on, 50 years ago, of healing and wholeness. And I changed my priorities, kind of like what Lisa was talking about. My priorities changed, and it wasn't just about working out. It wasn't just about making money. It wasn't just about having a great reputation. It was about what was inside of me, who I was. And I truly underwent, the term spiritual transformation means a lot to me. I'd say, I have a degree in philosophy and theology. So I thought I knew all this stuff. It really was all book knowledge. I didn't know it. I didn't feel it. And I went away from what I was learning about Jung back in my early 20s. And now I feel like I've been brought back around. And I think that the universe has something to do with that. And that my journey, kind of like what Sue said, everything that's happened in my life has been for a reason. And there have been people, mentors, and other people that have been the nudges that brought me back to where I am today. And I had a very good friend who 7 or 8 years ago, when I was going through my crisis, said, "You need to go big." And that meant I needed to do everything possible to figure things out. And I was very fortunate that the people that were put in my path helped me to get to where I am. So now I can truly say I have a spiritual transformation. I understand spirituality way better than I did. And it's become paramount to me, but not the only thing. I don't want to go the opposite direction. So now I think Lisa really hit it. Everything comes together for me, and I'm just much more at peace with who I am. And I'm more open to the spiritual aspect of my life, to the guidance that I believe I received from the universe. There was a time when I would hear something about energy healing, and I would just blow that off and go, yeah, okay, whatever. I don't do that anymore because I know better now. And that was the point of the chapter.
Yeah, I love it. I love all the ways you three are talking about holistic, and just a shout out to all of you now, a thank you. It's one thing to do the things you do every day, coach people, teach people, help people heal, all the ways you serve, but it's quite another thing to be challenged to put that in black and white in a book in a way that the reader is going to have an experience. And I want our readers to understand what beautiful gifts are in this book. These stories will be a healing moment for you, but then our authors are stepping up to offer a practical experience, a tool, a strategy, a practice, something that you can do to jump onto this interesting path that we're talking about, which is high vibrational wellness. And that gets me to this last question I have for all of you. You've all been touching on it already, but now I want you to go personal. So really thinking about what it means to you to live high vibe. When I think of that, there was a time, a lot of my life, I had no idea what that even meant.
Mm-hmm.
And now finally, as an older adult, I can say it's something I feel in me, palpable. It's if I could hear and taste and feel joy inside of my heart, then that has a palpable feeling of ease and lightness, right? And it's hard to describe these things. But when I can wake up every day and practice moving into that space with awareness, I get the choice to do that, then that vibe is affecting everybody else I come across. And that's pretty badass, right? Susan, tell us what it means to you on the day-to-day to live high vibe.
On the day-to-day, the minute that I open my eyes in the morning, I am thanking the God of my understanding for whatever is going to happen through that day, and help me please to do my best. And invariably, it sets that day off for just an excitement and a peace that minute by minute, I don't know what's going to happen, but I'm okay with whatever happens. And it proves itself over and over again when you carry that kind of vibration and trust. I could be sitting in a sidewalk cafe eating lunch, and all of a sudden, someone who has real troubles or perceives real troubles sits themselves right down next to me and cries on my shoulder. And I have the opportunity then to let them talk. And somehow they've noticed that I can do that, whether they know me, they don't know me at all, but they've been pulled in. And I'm eternally grateful for that. It is my service. And what more could I ask for?
That's beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. And thanks for getting into that personal example. Joseph, how about you? So on the day-to-day, give us a little window into that. What does that look like for you?
I used to get up and I would be at the gym at 5 a.m. and that was number one. And then it hit me. It hit me that I read a thing in scripture that said that every morning Jesus got up and went off by himself to pray. And I thought, wow, if he got up and went off to pray, then I need to get up and do the same thing. So to sum it up, I start out with my with my spirituality first. So I wake up, I have a prayer area that's dedicated just to my meditation and prayer, journaling. And that's how I start my day every day. And then I move on to working out and everything else. So it's a matter of priorities. So my spiritual development, my spiritual growth, my connection with God and with the universe is priority to me. And that's how I start every day.
There's a book, maybe some of you have read it, called Miracle Morning. And both of you have described a pretty awesome miracle morning so far, right? Setting the intentions will affect the whole rest of your day. So awesome. All right, Lisa, you're last up on this question. Give us a little idea of that day to day. What does it mean to you to live high vibe?
Living high vibe means living a life on purpose and really connecting to my passion daily, finding that flow state. And, that's going to look different for everybody. For me, it's moving through life with gratitude, as Sue had mentioned. It's what am I feeding my body? So eating whole food, plant-based, so that I'm nice and light and I can move with ease and feel nourished. It's what I'm taking in. So what kind of music am I listening to? I don't watch TV. I don't take in the news, anything like that. It's taking care of my physical body so it's not stagnant and my energy is moving. It's filling up my own cup so I can show up in the world and be fully of service to others. It's finding that quiet time each and every day so that I can process and integrate my thoughts and just get myself on track with what I'm putting out into the world. It's waking up early and going to bed early for me so that I can function fully and feel healthy and well. It's all of these things combined that helps me move through life in a high vibrational state. I will say that we are human beings, but we're really spiritual beings inhabiting this physical body. So it is work. It is a process. It's not like you just attain this state and that you're there forever until the day you die. So I just want to get that point across, that I work really hard to keep my vibration high, but I do things that I enjoy, and I maintain this state of fun and playfulness and lightness, although sometimes challenges do arise because we are human. So if you fall off the horse, and you just get right back on and do the things that you love, that speak to your soul, just reassess, realign, find what is meaningful to you, and just do that.
Just do that, you guys. I know. I agree with Lisa. It's a process and a practice. It's a lifelong thing. And what these authors will help you with is what's possible. And that is so exciting to me. So to all of you, Joseph, Susan, Lisa, thank you so much for what you do in the world and for being here today to share it with everyone. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
So if you all haven't figured it out, this is way more than a book. This is a very generous community of experts who are ready to answer a question you might have from listening today. Or maybe you need some support and you need to reach out to one of them. So scroll down under the video. I have everybody here hooked up with their links and contact information, and they are there to help you with that next step on your journey. I'm so grateful to this community for being that in terms of support and help. And to all of you who are ready, you can put our book party or book launch party on your calendar. July 18th, we're going to be gathering with all of the co-authors of High Vibrational Wellness. And you're going to find some information down below on to how to join us on the Zoom for that. And if you happen to be listening to this interview anytime after that date, well, that just means you can hop over to Amazon and grab your copy of this amazing book. Lastly, everyone, remember, your words change the world when you're brave enough to share them. So it is time to be brave. See you next time, everyone.